people that have been affected by this are everybody. Middle income people, blue collared people, white collared people, teachers, veterans are a huge source, white, black, any type of person of color out there that is in this country is being affected by this. It's not just one little element. The people that have a lot of money are able to navigate easier out of this, but it's everybody. It's your teachers. We've had, you name it, we've had every single person you can imagine under the sun that has been affected by this.
So what happened, I mean, we could obviously start looking at the banks were loaning money at an exponential rate. We can go into the credit underwriting and stuff like that. But ultimately what happened is the market started to go down. And when the market started to go down, people started losing their jobs. Interest rates started going up and the adjustable rate mortgages were no longer affordable. They had hardships. And when that happens, when you have a hardship, usually you don't have a bunch of money saved up. A lot of people, I think it's 83% of Americans have less than $1,000 in their bank account or in their savings account. So there was nothing to fall back on. We were kind of riding the high of a bull market, and when it tanked, a lot of people lost their house.
Back during the crash in 08 and 09, companies, banks that were holding all of these mortgages weren't set up to handle the amount of foreclosures that were coming through. So really what's happened is just a product of the system that was created. They're about one thing, at the single bottom line, making money on it. And they don't attach the human element to it that is very, very important that we all miss.
No one really sets up for the problems. They always set up for the good times. The banks are there to write loans to people, to issue credit, to allow people to partake in the American dream, to own a home. And when those mortgages went into default, it was just like stacks and stacks and stacks of paper landing on their desk, and they're like, what do we do with this? They weren't set up to handle it.
You see, because what happens is if a big investment company has 10,000 loans, what they're going to do is they're going to look at the higher valued loans. So naturally, if you're a company that's managing for that single bottom line, you're going to say, let's just work on the cream of the crop stuff, the high value stuff, and let's not worry about this other stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of trade those off and package those up and sell them off. The problem is they're forgetting that there are human beings on the end of that with families that just because they can't afford a $300,000 house, they're being underserved. They're not given the same types of opportunities to be able to save their home.
We did a lot of borrower outreach where we talked to borrowers, and I've heard some of the stuff it's crazy, man. It's just, they got really mistreated. And there's something it's called emotional equity. And when you get into this, you start talking, and people have emotional equity in the house. And it's because a lot of these people, some of these houses have been passed down from generation to generation. So people get into this, they're not all bad people. A lot of people are just, they're people like you, they're people like me, they're people where, when the economy turned, they're, the people, they work in an office and they lost their job. People downsized, when the market really went bad in 2008, 9, 10, a lot of people were out of work, and it was, people were graduating college and not being able to find jobs. It was just tough. And so when you lose your income and you have to support your family, do I go to the grocery store and do I buy some food? Or do I make the mortgage payment?
The hardships are mostly medical. You have deaths in the family, you have divorce, and job loss.
One of the borrowers who's out of Missouri, his kid had I don't know if it was a terminal disease, but he was extremely, extremely sick. And I talked to him on the phone and I was like, what's going on? Why couldn't you pay your mortgage? He's like, because I spend every dime I have getting medical treatment for my son. What's sad is for one of those borrowers to be on the phone to try to work something out and to get belittled or berated or be reduced to a number.
You need to be able to come up with a solution that's going to be able to kind of move with those borrower situations and not slap them with threatening letters, but listening to that hardship on an organic level from a housing counselor's perspective, and not somebody that's just getting paid $15 an hour to do this, but actual housing counselor that can then relay that information to us. 76,000 people every month are still affected by foreclosure. That's a lot of people. We're supposed to be out of the Great Recession, as they've called it. Butterfly effect is huge. What happens is these people that leave their homes, right, there's property taxes that don't get paid. In they call them zombie homes, and it's a major big problem because what happens is when one home goes vacant, the crime rate goes up. There are a lot of signs of people doing nefarious acts at these homes. It makes the other people's homes in that neighborhood decrease in value by thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And so what's happening is it just continues to spread. Less money for the property tax, which is less money for the police, less money for the schools, public school systems. And so it creates this huge thing where one home in a neighborhood starts to become then two homes, and they kind of generally happen in an entire neighborhood. The idea in the distressed debt space is to get as much money out of that distressed asset as possible. All we did was think, can we apply a double bottom line approach to this problem? People with a lot of money have an attorney to go to. These underserved populations don't have an attorney. They don't have somebody, a fixer, to go to and say, this is how I need some help. Now, there's a huge gap where we can come in and let's put a human element to helping these people stay in their homes and offer something where people can make some money. But the biggest thing is the borrowers. That is the number one focus in our business. Without borrowers' help, you're not gonna get a deed to the home to then go back and fix it up. You're not gonna help save somebody's homes, right? So the human element is so huge, and people forget that when they're investing. What we've found is these people want to pay their mortgage. They want to contribute to society. They realize it feels good. They don't like getting letters in the mail saying, you owe us money.
It is possible to have that resolution to help somebody, looking at it from a business. You have to manage with a double bottom line. You can't just look at, I'm going in there to scalp.
And without people like ourselves, smaller type investors, these stories are never going to be heard. These stories are important not only to help save their homes, but I think to save our country, to save the middle class, the lower middle class. Because without those stories, without that heartstring being pulled and being out there as a headline, I believe that there's not going to be the kind of resources and subsidizations that we can get from governments or endowments or people like that really want to help. Without that type of story being put out there on the front page, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Even at the end, when we can't keep somebody in the house, we always look for a way to work with them, to set them up for when they leave the house. What can we do to set them up for success so that we're not just taking somebody and saying, here, you're on your own, go figure it out. That doesn't align with our mission.
The impact investing space, they've labeled it, it's been around about 11 years. And the growth that we're starting to see in the space to invest in a double bottom line, I call it, meaning yes, we need to make money, but yes, we also want to do good, is growing greatly, especially with the millennial generation coming into power. A lot of decision makers in big family offices and what have you are millennials, and they want to reallocate their investment to also being not only just financially, but also what else are they doing good? And what we've decided to do was, look, the non-for-profits are struggling to get money and resources. You have to add a financial element, a component to it. And I really believe managing with that double bottom line of impact and income, okay, you're gonna attract from a different base of people, and we're gonna really start to move and have some conversations around this situation, this type of investing.